Hello and welcome to LDEI Live Online. I am your host, Sheila Cry. Last month, we enjoyed hearing holiday hosting ideas from 13 Doms. To balance all that festive energy, this month we're turning our attention to something that we can all use, simple ways to reduce stress through meditation. Our speaker, Melanie Underwood, is a rare and wonderful combination, an experienced culinary professional and a mindfulness educator. Melanie began her meditation journey years ago while working as a restaurant pastry chef when she turned to mindfulness to help manage anxiety. Since then, her work has expanded to teaching cooking to adults and young people, leading corporate wellness programs, and creating an impressive 138 guided meditations on the Insight Timer app. Today, Melanie will share how meditation can help us feel calm and centered, even in the high stress moments we often face as culinary professionals. She'll also guide us through a meditation created especially for LDEI. And now, please join me in welcoming Melanie Underwood.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks everybody for having me. I really appreciate being here. Um, as Sheila said, I did start my meditation and mindfulness journey as a reaction to having severe anxiety. I was working at the Plaza Hotel and I was the assistant pastry chef and I was having panic attacks. And I think it was because I was young and unprepared for the magnitude of that job. But nevertheless, I went to the doctor and he's like, "Oh, you need to start meditating." And I said, "That sounds terrible. I don't think I can do that." And and he was like, "All right, well then you just keep going and see what happens." So I did begin meditating. Sheila and I have talked about this. It was not the easiest journey because probably like many of you, I thought I can't meditate because I didn't find the right style. And eventually I did. And it really changed my life, to be quite honest, because it taught me a lot of coping skills to use right in the moment. But also, overall, it made me much less reactive. I mean, Sheila knows I have a pretty fiery personality anyway, but I now I'm not that person that like immediately is like, oh, I've got to react because I meditate every single day and it sort of like helps you chill out a little bit, which I love it. So I really always encourage people, even after this is over, just to reach out if you have questions because I do think it's such a game changer. And Sheila's in a course I have called the Meditation Lab, and that whole course is about showing people different types of meditations that you can use in day to day. And today I am going to do a meditation that's about 15 minutes just to sort of settle us in. You know, I looked through the list to see what everybody does, and everybody has pretty stressful jobs. So this is a longer meditation that might not be something you're like, well, I can't use this at work. But we're also going to go over 10 micro practices that you can use at work that can be as short as 30 seconds or as long as 5 to 10 minutes. And that's the great thing. And if you are in a business or own a business, sharing this with your employees is often very helpful because it actually makes all of us more productive to take a reset, especially if we're feeling that frenetic energy. And this time of year can really bring that on with all that everyone has. So, does anybody have any questions before I sort of get started and start going over things? Does anybody have any thoughts about like when you hear meditation, like what comes to mind? Okay. If you
Yeah,
do,
I will. I'll jump in. I
okay.
feel Thank you for doing this, by the way, but I'm like in the same boat as what you described of like how do you even make yourself do it where like it feels like a lot of effort to quiet the brain. And so instead of doing it a little bit at a time, it just has felt too hard. So I ignore all the apps I've downloaded and paid for, and then just like go to bed and be like, why can't I sleep? So um, I like the you being here with a group and it feels more supported, you know.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I think first I hear I can't meditate, and then that's sort of the second thing. It's like I don't know where to begin and how to fit it in. And so, and yes, downloading all those apps I know can be really overwhelming. And so, well, I really encourage people to try to find, like today, when we go over these micro practices, maybe there's just one that resonates with you and sort of working on that one and repeating it, because I think that's sort of the best way to dive in. I don't know if you can see really behind me, but I'm actually also a sound practitioner because that's what resonates the most with me when I meditate. And I think as people that cook, one of the things that really can help everybody is when you are cooking, whether it's professionally in the kitchen or in your own home. I don't listen to music, and it's sort of counterintuitive to what a lot of people believe. But what I'm listening to is just the sounds around me because that actually really helps calm me down. Because I think what helps calm people the most is just being in the present moment and not thinking ahead, which is often what happens, where we're like, oh my God, what's going to happen when? Or I'm guilty of this. I've got so much work to do. And am I going to get it all done? And or going behind and being like, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. So that's one of the best things is just being in the moment because it takes out all the other things from your brain, but also committing to it. I like to think of meditation sort of like exercise. A lot of people will commit to exercising, whatever that looks like, 20 minutes a day, twice a week. Meditation's the same. Commit to doing 5 minutes a day, twice a week. I meditate at least 20 minutes a day, but sometimes two times 20 in the morning and then in the evening. But I have to put that in my calendar because otherwise I don't do it. Even me,
Hmm.
I just put it in there. So I'm like, oh, it's time to meditate. I'm going to go do that right now. So,
I'll say
anybody?
I have something to add.
Yes.
10 years ago, I would have said there's no way I would ever meditate. I was just so busy and so locked into my career and packed full days. And there was no way that I could see myself meditating. And now I've been meditating for about 3 years. And it is truly changing my life, but I'm still really hard on myself. So I just finished a course by Diana Winston. Do you know Diana Winston? It was through Spirit Rock. It was an online course. And this is just recently. And and I'm so interested in your micro um, meditations that you're going to introduce us to, but Diana Winston has these like glimpse practices, and they're more playful and more forgiving. And I think the biggest hurdle that I overcame with meditation was forgiving myself for not like doing it for 20 minutes or letting my mind wander for the whole 20 minutes. It's like you're meditating. If you're doing that, you're meditating because you're reminding yourself and just to be more playful with it and more forgiving. And that's helped me so much.
Yeah, that's so valid. And that's one of the things I was going to go over, but I'm going to just hop in right now because everyone says, oh my gosh, my mind wanders. I'm thinking about this. And that's normal. There is no right way. Believe it. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm a cooking teacher and I've done it for 30 years. I taught at ICE. I've taught well over 50,000 students. And I can say this, that there is a camp that is like, I'm never taking a class with Melanie again. That's a small camp. The biggest camp is thank you. Thank you for giving me permission to screw up and know that I can do something else with it. And I feel the same way about meditation. There's no right way. You have to sort of be open-minded and know, like, I'm going to go with the flow. And maybe my intention is to sit here for 10 minutes and not think, but I'm sort of running lists in my head. But then I'm going to come back to whatever that is. So, today I'm going to do this meditation that is sort of related to an anchor point. So if you're doing a little bit of a longer meditation, it's great to have an anchor point because an anchor point is just a space that brings you back to the moment. So it could be your breath, it could be a body part, it can be a sound. There's so many things that you can personally choose an anchor point. You could touch yourself and, this is your anchor point. And that's for the longer meditations. But it's you're going to see, like, I do a lot of mantra meditations too, and so I might be saying a mantra to myself and then all of a sudden I realize, "Oh, I'm thinking about," and then I just bring myself back. And all of that is okay. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Thank you for your offer. That was a great reminder. Anybody else? Okay, so I would say this, if you have your devices, it would be amazing if you turn them off or at least put them in do not disturb because that's like the number one thing that you can do to help yourself. Because I leave my devices on do not disturb almost 24/7. And then I strategically will look at them at points during the day because my phone will just ping constantly with notifications. And I find that very distracting. So I allocate certain times during the day. And I know that not everyone loves it, but I also don't care. I do it for myself and not for others. So if that's something that you feel like you could do, or even do an hour a day where you turn off your notifications, I really believe that's a huge reset. And everything I'm going to offer today, and it's not just me, but any type of meditation, these are just moments that you can have accessible to you at any sort of moment, whether it's stressful or not. But also know they're all adaptable. You know, you can take what you want from any meditation, and you'll find there are a lot of meditation teachers, just like cooking teachers, who are like, there's only one way to do it. That is definitely not true. So, Sheila, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not always the most popular cooking teacher in the room, and I'm like, no, that's not true. Anyway, it's all adaptable. So if somebody's like, close your eyes, but you don't feel comfortable doing that, leave your eyes open. No, I don't know everyone's story in here. And maybe closing your eyes makes you uncomfortable, right? Maybe lying down makes you uncomfortable. So know that this is, no matter what is recommended, it's always up to you what you do. So I would like to say the only thing I would say is the devices. So right now, I'm going to tell you, if you're the most comfortable turning your camera off, you can. We're going to drop into about a 15 to 20-minute meditation. And again, try to put your phone away. If you're on your computer, maybe silencing the notifications. But the most important thing for me when I'm teaching meditation is to just remind everybody to meet yourself with curiosity and not judgment. Because it's really easy, as you were saying earlier, to be judgmental. So, just a couple of reminders. You don't need to sit perfectly still. Sheila and I were talking about this earlier. I don't always sit still. I need a little bit of movement. So, if you are in a meditation and you're like, I need to get up, that is perfectly okay. You do not have to clear your mind. You don't have to close your eyes. And you definitely don't have to stop your thoughts. Okay. And again, it's just really training yourself to be aware and be in the present moment and noticing without judgment. And then again, coming back to your mind when it drifts. And that's really the practice. So I'm going to use breath today as the anchor. But remember, if focusing on the breath is uncomfortable to you, you can pick another anchor. Feet are a very common anchor. If you're sitting in a chair, your seat is a very common anchor. Some people use their heartbeat as an anchor. So you can pick that anchor. And then today, when I'm talking about breath, you could choose the anchor that you want to use. And I think an anchor is a great analogy because an anchor is something that you will always come back to. And if you're thinking of it like a boat anchor, no matter how much the boat is rocking or drifting off, it's going to always keep the boat mostly steady in that one spot. And that's what your anchor is meant to do when you're meditating. So, you might start thinking about, oh my gosh, I've got to get back to work. I have to make dinner. I have an email. That's normal. But you're always going to have your anchor to come back to. And sometimes it's helpful to set an intention. And if you want to set an intention, it could be, why are you here today? What do you hope to notice? What are you hoping to explore? And just having that in your mind when you go into it is often really helpful. So, for the awareness of breath practice, again, it's just focusing your attention on the natural flow of your breath or whatever that anchor is. So, if you're choosing your feet, it's noticing the sensations in your body part. And then when you're noticing with curiosity and not judging, and just observing if your mind wanders off, bringing your focus back to your breath. And this can happen over and over, so many times where your mind wanders off. And no matter what, if you're using your breath as your anchor, it's not changing or manipulating the way you're breathing. There's no like breathing exercise. Again, it's just bringing awareness to your breath and realizing that the natural impact of doing a meditation, your breathing may shift. Okay. And then some of the potential benefits of all meditations, definitely attention. So your attention often will increase when you allow your brain to slow down a little bit, and it increases the focus. It obviously is going to reduce distractibility over time, and it does give you that, like, again, present moment for staying focused and steady. And then obviously practices, as I was saying, regulate stress, anxiety, sometimes depression for some people. And it engages in a relaxation response and increasing the awareness of your body and what's happening, and often allowing you to make a little bit more skillful choices about your health and self-care, and giving your decision-making process a little bit more clarity because it allows you to see a bigger picture and the capacity to see nuances in the present moment rather than seeing that reaction or what you think it should be. And then, the regulation of your thoughts and emotions, that will come and go, whether you're meditating or not, but it does over time definitely help you deepen in and have a lot of calm, even in the midst of a difficult situation. And it will refine the ability to tune into your body's wisdom. And you'll be able to sense like cues from your body that maybe sometimes you're not recognizing. And then again, I just want to repeat that, if you don't feel comfortable keeping your eyes closed, you can keep them open. You can gaze downward. That's always too a possibility. And then again, shifting your attention to anywhere in the body. So I'm going to ask you to begin by finding a comfortable position, one that would reflect where you feel stability, a posture that reflects your intention to be present, noticing the way your body may be supported. If you're in a chair or you're lying down, making a solid connection with whatever is supporting you. And again, closing your eyes if it's comfortable, having a downward gaze. And turning your attention to breath and being aware of your breath. And just simply attending and listening to your breath as it flows in and out of your body. Not changing the way you're breathing, just allowing. And there's no need to control your breath or to improve or change it in any way. Just again, being with your breathing, however it is, and offering an interested and friendly attention. knowing that thinking about breathing is not the same as feeling the breath. And in this practice, we're simply noticing how it feels to be breathing and noticing without judgment. Beginning to notice where you feel the breath most easily. It might be at the tip of your nostrils, noticing the temperature of your breath. Maybe it's cool as it enters, perhaps slightly warmer as it's flowing out. The chest, feeling the rising and falling as the lungs fill and empty. And the belly, sensing the expanding and releasing of the belly as breath flows in and out. Finding the place where you feel breath most prominently and resting your attention there. Settling into just being with your breathing. And as you do so, if you find that focusing on the breath is not supportive, feel free to shift your attention to a more familiar or supportive anchor, such as sound, the feet, the hands, or the feeling of the body in the chair. And if you notice that your mind has wandered, gently but kindly bringing your attention back to the breath over and over again. Remembering that this practice is not about stopping thoughts, but about noticing when you've become distracted and returning to your intended focus. This is a moment of mindfulness. Investigating the breath with curiosity and kindness. Is it deep or shallow? Is it slow or fast? Does it stay the same or change? Are you aware of pauses at the start and end of the in-breath, or the still point where the breath turns around from inhaling to exhaling. You might notice the rhythm and flow of the breath, perhaps having a sense of riding the waves of the breath. There's no need to force anything. Gently turning the attention toward the breath. Staying close to the direct experience of breathing. What do you notice? Breathing in, aware that you are breathing in. Breathing out, aware that you are breathing out. as your mind wanders, simply observing the thoughts and then gently returning the attention to the breath. Just this moment, just this breath, in and out. Now expanding your field of awareness to encompass the entire body, from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head, aware of the whole body breathing, aware of the subtle movements of the body as the breath comes and goes. Being with this moment just as it is. Simply sitting here, just breathing, bringing awareness to the breath of the body. As we come to the close of this practice, acknowledging that by doing this, you have made time for your own well-being, knowing that you can return to the anchor of the breath or the body throughout the day as needed to help calm and steady the mind. Gradually opening your eyes when you're ready, maybe wiggling your hands, your fingers, your toes, giving yourself a gentle stretch if you would like. Moving now into the rest of this day with increased awareness, calmness, and steadiness. So as some of you are coming back, if anybody feels comfortable maybe sharing, and it's okay to say, no, that didn't work for me, but sharing about your experience or maybe how you felt. I feel like I want to call on Emily because as I see her first, and you have that
It's
look,
okay.
Emily,
I
like you want to
noticed.
say something.
So I wrote down one thing so that I would remember. You were talking about paying attention to your breath. And I noticed that what for me, what would change is my breath would get shallower as my mind would get distracted. And so it
Yeah,
was interesting is I'd get these smaller breaths and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're thinking about an email you have to do next week. And then I'd get
yeah,
more in tune with my breath and I'm like, oh, okay, that's more balanced. I'm actually processing the breath. I'm not as kind of in my head and not fully being aware, if that makes sense.
completely. Yes. I mean, shallow breathing is very common for people to do, but it's actually not amazing for us as
Right.
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Of
I was just
course.
joking about calling on you, but thanks.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I felt my shoulders slowly relax, but then I also wanted everything to be sort of like parallel, right? Like symmetrical on either side. So I kept moving my hands and my feet as I felt I wasn't looking, but felt like everything was sort of even on both sides. And that made me feel, I guess, more balanced. So.
That's amazing. That's a dream to have that balance.
I
I
noticed,
really,
oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I noticed that an uncomfortable space really interferes with the ability to go into it because I am in a little phone booth in my office and like it's a busy day here, so the conference rooms are booked and I'm like in a little glass case that people can walk by and see. So when I was able to close my eyes and be like, okay, hopefully nobody's walking by and seeing this, like I was able to get more, you know, aware of my breathing than when I'm like, oh, I hear footsteps. Like, let's look to, I don't want them to think I'm asleep on a call.
I do.
Um, but then also they intentionally make these very uncomfortable so that you don't linger here all day. So I am on a slanted seat and trying to put my feet in a place that there is intentionally like no grounding in this spot. They don't want you to feel that way. And so I'm just imagining what it could have felt like if I were able to
Yes.
fully relax into it.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to say this. This is unpopular, but I don't know. I went to a private school when I was little, and we had a mandated, what I now call a siesta. Every day after lunch, they turn the lights off, and you could lie down on cots or you could put your head down, and that continued through middle school. And I really believe that any company would be better off, especially corporate ones where you're not, where you're in an office setting, if they did a mandated like 15-minute break for all employees. I know from the companies I work with, they would see, I always get asked, how is it helping me? Because a lot of places don't care about the employees, hence why you have an uncomfortable place you're sitting in. But the productivity would sort of really go up if they allowed people to have a comfortable space or take a 10 to 15-minute break during the day for this kind of thing, just like a little tap out. I didn't see who else was going to say
Oh,
something.
I'm Santi Burge. I was going to say I realized how much tension I was holding in my jaw, and I really, released my jaw release, and like I felt like my tongue even relaxed in my mouth a little bit, and that just felt so comfortable. And then I was very anxious about my to-do list, and I don't feel as anxious right now about it. So taking that pause was very beneficial. Also, I'm in a very comfortable chair and my feet are on the ground, and I felt very like supported. Like I could feel my body felt really heavy in the chair, but in a good way, like in support. And my feet felt very light. And I was about to actually go flat on the ground, but you said it's about time to wake up. But I kind of thought it. I thought I wanted to go flat to see if I could feel that lightness that my feet feel, just being supported almost by Mother Earth, instead of sitting on a piece of furniture.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there are people who are of the school of thought, like, well, if you're meditating, you should be awake. I am the school of thought that if you're falling asleep, then you actually need rest. And so fall asleep or get on the ground and connect a little bit more. So absolutely.
I really appreciated your prompt when your mind wanders, because I don't know if anybody here could say that their mind never wandered during that, because it does. And just to go back to reiterate what I said in the beginning, it's like I used to think of meditation as having to be so rigid, so rigid, and it doesn't have to be that way. It can be really, again, playful. And you said when your mind wanders, it's like permission. It's like, yeah, your mind's going to wander, so just come back, and that's a bonus, that you recognize that. So I loved your prompts. I thought it was really, really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I used to get hypnotized.
Ooh, I love it.
So when I was listening to my breath, I was thinking about the word that the hypnotist asked me to think about when I was stressed out. So I kept going in and out of that. But when I was hypnotized, it was the most relaxed I've ever been in my life. And I felt like this was almost similar.
Yeah, I have been hypnotized once, and I would say I agree. My experience was like that. I think, and the more people meditate, the more they get into that deeper space a little quicker because your body's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm just going there. Demetra, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I did. This was my first experience with meditation. Thank you. That was lovely. How I found your prompts and your voice very helpful and very soothing. How do you do this by yourself? Or is there, how do you, I guess you have to train yourself to?
It depends.
Yeah.
That's a great question. It depends on, for me, I would say it depends on the type of meditation I'm doing. So this is what's called a guided meditation. So you could say to yourself, like, I'm going to pay attention to my breath. But I feel for most people that's hard to do because it's almost like you're competing with your brain because your brain has to be on to tell yourself what to do. So for guided meditations, I mean, I am on the app Insight Timer. I am not, no teacher is paid on there. I actually think it's probably one of the best apps for someone like me because they also have lives. But there's Calm, Headspace, Insight Timer. There's so many, and you can also go on YouTube and you could put in, breath awareness guided meditation. And even like just popping in your earbuds or your headphones can be helpful. But for something like I do a mantra meditation, um, and that is literally there's a word that I just say over to myself. So it could be any word, whatever word you would choose. It could be meditation. I Mine is from Transcendental Meditation, which I don't like to talk a lot about because a lot of people feel that it's a cult. And so mine is more of a sound that I say, but you can do a sound or a word that's like something you make up and you just repeat it to yourself. And then you'll notice, like, if you're saying, let's just say the word bird, and you're like silently repeating bird, bird. And then you'll be like, oh, I'm not saying that anymore because I'm thinking. That's just one word or a phrase. So it's a little bit easier to tap into that versus trying to tell yourself an entire guided meditation, because that would be hard to do to actually get to that deeper brainwave state when you're actually doing that. The micro practices are going to be easier for you because they're meant to be like little short things that you can do quite easily. Um, and we can go over those in a minute. But I would say for any sort of longer meditation like that, I would look up and listen to someone through a guided meditation.
Thank you.
Hmm. Anybody else?
I have a mantra that I'd like to share. I did it. It was that I learned from a yoga practice that our instructor would, at the end of the class, we would do a meditation, and she would say when we're laying down to breathe in, knowing, knowing that you were well, breathe out, smiling sweetly to yourself. And so sometimes I would just breathe in, like knowing, and breathe out, smiling. And just those words just kind of became a mantra. And a lot of times I use that, sometimes even at a red light, or in
Yes.
traffic, but just that knowing and smiling, and just giving yourself some grace to get through. And that's been really helpful to me.
And that you're just from what I'm hearing, it sounds like that you're sort of instinctively going to that. And that's what can really happen. Like I will often do like, especially if I'm like very stressed, I'll be like, breathe in light, breathe out dark. And that's what I do is light and dark because then I'm trying to like, and I love your yoga teacher because the smiling is such a beautiful way to really keep it so lovely and beautiful.
Thank you.
So, I'm gonna go over the micro practices a little bit, and Sheila posted in the chat. You can download them if you want because it's a lot. This is a lot to remember. And I'm gonna say I didn't post this in there, and I'm happy to post it if anybody wants it. But it's one that I love, but I don't often do it is because it is rooted in a Buddhist tradition. So because it's related to religion, I don't often cover it, but you can look it up. It's called a loving kindness or metta meditation. And it's really beautiful because it's essentially, it's a practice of saying, like, may you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be at ease. And you wish it out to starting small and going big. It can be, a 10 to 20-minute meditation. But if you're someone who really loves to spread love and kindness, it is a beautiful meditation to do. So, oh, Melanie doesn't see anything in the chat. Do you want me to drop it in, Sheila?
If you scroll up to the top, you'll see Greg Jules' thumbnail photo, and it's right there.
What? I don't see anything in the chat. I
It
just
might
see
have been
things.
in a personal message because I don't see it in the chat either.
Okay, so I'll drop it in again.
And some of these you may have heard of. I mean, a very popular one is called Stop.
Ah, I see it now.
Got it?
Thank
You
you.
got it? Okay. So Stop is a great thing to use if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or maybe like you're spiraling. And it's an acronym. So it's stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. So literally it's just something that you can quickly tap into. Stopping is literally like, okay, I'm gonna stop and take a break, step away from whatever it is. And then taking a breath, that's not this kind of guided meditation. And for me, and someone said this earlier about the tension. When I do that, I like intentionally like bring up my shoulders. And then when I breathe out, I drop it out really quickly because I get more out of it that way. But also just taking a breath in and out is fine. But then the important part is also observing, what's going on around you? What are you feeling? Whether it's like I'm frustrated, I'm angry, you're in a car, it's actually very easy to do too. And also observing the feelings that you might feel in your body, whether it's a tight chest, clenched fists, and then proceeding mindfully, knowing, okay, I recognized it and I'm going to let it go and move on. And if you guys have questions, will you just unmute yourselves and ask me as I'm going? Because I know we're almost over and I just want to go through them, but I don't want
I'm
to.
so sorry. I clicked this link, but I don't see anything on the website. Is there?
It should say download here on the
Okay,
right.
it brought me to your other site to download fall recipes, but maybe that was just a pop-up that.
That's probably a pop-up. There's a
Okay.
pop-up on my website. It literally, there's a link and that's just for you guys and it says download here.
I was able to download it.
Okay. I'm pretty anal, so I tested everything before. Um, and it should work. And if it doesn't, you can just shoot me an email and then I'll send it to you. And another one is called box breathing. So box breathing is when you equally breathe the same on the in-breath, holding, exhaling, holding. So usually if you're not familiar with box breath, it's recommended that you do 4 seconds. But people who do a lot of box breathing sometimes will do 8 to 10. So you breathe in for whatever amount of time, and then you hold it for the same amount of time, and then you exhale for the same amount of time, and then you hold it, and then you repeat that. And it's easier if you're counting when you're doing it because it'll keep you on track. And then you can repeat that 3 to 5 times. And that just helps reset your nervous system. And this is actually a practice that's used by surgeons, athletes. It's used in the Army and the Navy. It's a pretty popular one because it does really help you. And you can do it eyes open, eyes closed. And then hand breathing. Hand breathing is great also if you have kids or grandchildren. Hand breathing, you actually use your hand. So this is not only your breath, but it's allowing you to have a touch. So you breathe in, you breathe out. You breathe in, you breathe out. And you repeat that. And it's the same thing as the box breathing. It's allowing you to sort of reset and have that pattern, but also having that physical touch can really help you. And that's also really great, if you're spiraling a little bit, because it will help you come back into it. And then 4-7-8 breathing. This was started by Dr. Andrew Weil. I don't know if you guys know him. He's got a great meditation practice, and it's you're breathing in for 4, holding it for 7, out for 8, and you repeat this. So this is just for some people a little bit easier than the others. It really does reset your nervous system quite well. This is a great one to use if you want to go to sleep also. This is what I do if I'm struggling to go to sleep. I'll do the 4-7-8. 4-7-8 also makes you actually have to concentrate a little bit more because it's not as easy as the 4-4-4, but it will help you sleep. And also one of the things that, and any of these, like you can make audible sounds. Obviously, if you're at work, a lot of people don't feel comfortable, but getting that energy out by whoosh can really help. And if you've taken yoga, you've probably done that in your yoga class. And then another one is called RAIN. So it's similar to STOP, and it's an acronym for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. So this was developed by Tara Brach and Michelle McDonald. And so you're recognizing what's going on, and you name it to yourself. I'm frustrated right now. I'm disappointed. I feel like a failure. And then you acknowledge that without judgment. And you're just allowing it to be here, the A. So it doesn't mean that you're fighting it. You're like, I'm recognizing that I feel this way. I don't need to make it go away. I don't need to do anything. It's here. I'm going to give my feelings space. And then investigating it, like, how are you feeling it in your body? Is it, a tight chest? Are you flushed in your face? And what is the story that you're telling yourself that's making you get here? And I think that's something that no one likes to hear. But often we're doing that. We're telling ourselves a story, and you're empowered to have your own story. And just like you can tell yourself the story of this, you can tell yourself the story of that. So it doesn't have to be, oh my God, I'm a failure. It can be, I'm fucking awesome. And sorry if you don't curse. Sorry, Sheila. And then nurture is that right there, like giving yourself kindness. I don't know if you guys know, giving yourself a hug is seriously something that's practiced a lot in meditations, and rubbing yourself here on your shoulders. It's can produce the same responses as someone else giving you a hug. And that's nurturing to yourself. And then just doing that for like 5 minutes can really, really help. And that's great if you feel like you've made a mistake or you've had a really bad moment with somebody at work. That can really help. And then a progressive muscle relaxation is one of my favorite ones. This is often done in a longer meditation, but it's so great to do. And it's sort of related to what I was talking about with your shoulders. So you do tense, hold, and release with wherever you're feeling tension. You can do your whole body. I do my shoulders a lot because I also hold a lot of tension in my shoulders. So, or if you hold it in your hands, you intentionally tense up that muscle area and you hold it. And that can be up to you how long you hold it for. 10 seconds is usually what I do. And then you release it. And then you can repeat the same area or you can go to a different area. You can do it standing up, seated, lying down, and just again, and you, like I said, it's for me, the shoulders, I might do it like 5 or 6 times and then I release. You know, you guys can all try that if you want. Like tense up your shoulders, hold it, and then let it go really hard and then see how that feels. And if you do it, it will make your muscles relax. I, I don't get panic attacks like I used to, but I get anxiety, and that is like a huge relief for anxiety. And in the download, there is like a little bit of a more explanation on all of these, but especially on that one, it'll tell you very specifically what to do. And then this is a great one if you're into using your senses. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It can really, it brings you into the present moment because you have to focus. So it's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things you smell, 1 thing you taste. And it doesn't need to be a literal taste because we can all taste things even when we don't have something in our mouth. So it will help bring you back into the moment. And then the sound practice, that's observing what you hear. This is amazing. I do this daily, literally. I do it in my kitchen. I have tracks that I call ASMR tracks that are literally related to sounds in the kitchen. My hood sizzling from sauteing. People joke when we're in a cooking class, they're like, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" I'm like, "I heard the paddle up against the mixture, the paddle up against the bowl change, so I know it's ready." Those things exist in your day-to-day life, and you can do that. Listening to birds, listening to sound bowls. I have a lot of gongs here. All of those things can really help you tremendously. And then feet on the floor. This is the easiest one to do. You just literally put your feet on the floor like you're grounding, like pretty firmly, and then just allow yourself to notice the soles of your feet and the weight of your body. And I would give yourself a few minutes. Obviously, if you feel faint, do it seated, because some people feel a little bit off when they close their eyes and they're standing. So you can do it seated or standing. And then the reset breath. This one is like literally a full on exhale and then a full on inhale. And you're just stopping what you're doing. If you can step away. I used to do this in walk-ins, and walk-ins were great for me because they were cold. And I would just step away for 10 seconds to a minute, and I would force all the air out of my lungs, pause, and then do an inhale. Not forcing that, but just like naturally letting it, doing it, but repeating it a couple of times. And all of these breath awarenesses really activate your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the part of your nervous system that helps you like calm down and feel a little bit more relaxation.
Melanie, quick question. When you began, you talked about the things behind you relative to sound, and they're a little bit blurred. What are they?
Those are, I don't know why I tried to take off my blurriness. Let me see if I can. It's not even checked that my background is blurred. That's why I was confused. They
What
are
are they?
they're sound bowls and they're gongs. You probably, because of the settings that we have, you probably can't hear it. I can try to see if I can change it. Hold on. And so if you're into sound, you know, gongs to me are energy shakers. So for me, because I am a very energetic person, those ground me so, so much. I have 5 gongs over here. Sound bowls, I can bring one closer so you can see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you hear it or no?
Do it again.
You would hear it, yeah.
Yes, I think Zoom cancels it out.
I canceled mine because there was some some background noise, so I took off my original sound for music. But that can be really helpful.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
For now, all of us at Les Dames d'Escoffier International wish you and yours a joyous holiday season.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Bye.